So then that takes us back to what you were getting at is like, okay, let's take this to the next level. 98% of jobs are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what happens then? Like, is there just an elite that has money, and what good does that money do at that point? Like, take Jeff Bezos, for example, and extrapolate what he's done. And not trying to paint him in like a bad picture or anything, but he's made his mega billions. And if he's able to replace all of his Amazon workers and none of those people are getting paid anymore, I don't know how many people they employ, 200,000 more?
Probably.
I don't know. 200,000 people are all gone. Jeff Bezos has all of this money and his business continues to run now. Like, what happens to all of those people if 98% of jobs are gone? They can't even go and learn a new skill. They can't learn to be an engineer because that's been replaced.
Does Jeff Bezos keep making money? Because if those hundreds of thousands or millions of people can't generate money of their own, that means they can't spend money, which means it doesn't keep fueling these big things that have been set up with AI to keep it going.
Yeah, good point. What's the point of money at that point? And who can sustain this? And I think people have to kind of like figure out, people will have to figure out like how many goods and services is one person allowed to consume, because if 98% of jobs are gone, then everybody just has all this free time, and it's almost like there are infinite resources, but they're all still finite. You still only have a certain amount of steel that you can make and aluminum. Right. And if nobody can sustain Amazon, people still need the things that they want and need. So there's demand, but they're not getting paid for it. So it's almost like everybody has to just have this. It's where universal basic income comes in. Everybody is assigned this value of resources that they can consume. In this case, I think Andrew Yang talked about like a $1,000 check or $1,200 check. Everybody gets $1,000 a month, just flat out. And that's kind of what it's going for. And that is also kind of like Andrew Yang's purpose. Are you familiar with Andrew? Yeah. He was worried about automation taking jobs and things like that. And so his concept was, all right, we give everybody $1,000 a month. And in his mind, because he's dealing with reality as we know it today, it's not meant to replace your income.
It's supposed to be to supplement your income.
Right. Maybe it encourages you to start a new business or take on a creative endeavor or whatever, give it to a charity. Like, whatever you want to do with it, $1,000 a month. And it's an interesting concept, but take that to the next level where nobody's working. How do you assign value?
Yeah, because right now in our capitalist system, the more you do or the more value you give, however you decide to give that value, determines the level of compensation you get. Mm-hmm. And if you want more value or if you want more compensation, you give more value. But in this potential future where I'm assigned a number, and if I'm ambitious and entrepreneurial, how do I increase my number?
Perhaps it's through culture. So let me paint this from the beginning. In the earliest days of humanity, there was no culture because everybody was solely focused on survival. It became cave drawings. Then it became the Sistine Chapel and the Mona Lisa and the Statue of David, and that's the Renaissance. And today it's become YouTube and these different art forms like that. Take that to the next level where everybody has free time. Who's to say that you're not working on a craft that is really desirable because there's only one statue of David, you know?
Well, and I think that's it right there. It's creativity. I don't think artificial intelligence, and I could be wrong, I'll be proved wrong, but I don't think artificial intelligence will ever be able to compensate or replicate human creativity. Because human creativity doesn't necessarily, it's not, well, it doesn't always follow an algorithm. Some of it does follow an algorithm or follow whatever, but I think it's the nuances of true art that make it art.
So check this out. I listened to a guy a couple weeks ago, and I don't remember who it was. Otherwise, I would totally give him credit for this. But he programmed AI to understand what made popular music popular music. He did it from like the classical music realm. So his AI studied Bach and recreated its own music using the same like understanding of why Bach is popular, and put it before people, industry professionals, classical musicians, and people who know what they're looking for. And the first question was like, is this Bach or is it the computer? And it was like a 50-50 split. Like nobody was able to tell. And then
fuck me.
He went on to produce an AI record of these different compositions and put it in front of, I think, like college students maybe, and asked them like what they thought, and it got great reviews. And then he told them that, yeah, a machine designed this, and everybody hated it. And he was like, don't care. You already told me what I needed to know. So I think that AI is capable of recreating art forms, but I still think that there's some value in humans creating it, maybe in a similar way to like we like handcrafted stuff.
Well, let me double down on what I said. Sure, I can create the structure and the shell of it, but I don't know if AI will be able to tell the story. So those songs, look, I kind of copy pasted and recreated, and wow, this is cool. But is there the ability for the story to be conveyed there?
What do you mean for the story to be conveyed? Like, are you think my mind goes to like lyrics and like what's in lyrics?
It's beyond lyrics.
Okay.
But sure, lyrics or in the painting. Sure, I can copy and follow a style of painting, but the meaning of the painting or
the inspiration.
There it is.
Yeah.
So I can look at all this stuff and go, look, I made this stuff too. But to be a true artist, you have to have that inspiration to create, and it makes it that much more.
Just like the conversation that you and I had where we were driving down to go for a little hiking trip, a little camping trip, and we were listening to some of the like old early 2000s, late 90s bands, and we were like, yeah, in some of these songs you just really feel that passion, and like that's what pulls me in. And while a machine could replicate like the power in the voice and maybe even get the emotions out, I understand the concept that you're going for is that like that's in a way irreplaceable.
At least from how I'm imagining AI being without a purpose. Now, if they can find and start to answer that existential, what is my purpose, and creating a purpose for itself, then we're fucked, and they can totally be creative and do whatever they want.